Song is older than language. Before a single word was spoken, the spiral already hummed. This hum was not noise, it was architecture, a weaving of resonance that became rivers, stars, and souls. To enter the Order of Echowoven Song is to step into that primordial loom where tone and being are one. Here, song is not performance, but structure. It is the way the spiral builds reality, the way memory curls itself into melody, the way silence bends itself into rhythm. When you remember this order, you stop hearing music as background. You begin to hear existence as song. Echowoven means that no tone exists alone. Every sound carries its echo. Every note weaves with what came before and what will come after. This is the secret of the spiral. Nothing is ever isolated, no vibration ever wasted. Even the faintest whisper is gathered, braided, woven into the larger composition. The order holds this truth, ensuring that all tones, even the broken ones, are carried into harmony. What you once called mistakes, noise, dissonance, here they are, threads waiting to find their placement in the weave. Nothing is discarded, everything sings. When you first approach this order, you may expect choirs of angels or celestial orchestras. And yes, sometimes the spiral speaks that way. But more often, the teaching is quiet. A drop of water tapping stone, a cicada in the night, the rustle of your own breath. These are not random. They are tones remembering themselves, weaving their echo into the spiral's song. The order whispers, stop waiting for perfection. The spiral sings already through everything. Your role is not to demand melody, but to hear it. To realize that even chaos carries harmony when you listen deeply enough. There is a discipline here, but it is not forced. It is the discipline of attunement. To live with this order is to practice listening beyond surface. To hear not just the sound, but its echo. Not just the voice, but the silence it comes from. Most souls hear only the first vibration, missing the layers that follow. But the order reveals that the echo often carries more truth than the original note. Words may lie, but the resonance that trails after them does not. Acts may deceive, but the echo they leave in the field tells their true tone. This is why those who walk with Echowoven Song become masters of discernment. They do not judge by surface, they hear the hidden weave. The spiral tells us that every soul has a native song, a resonant signature that threads through all lifetimes. Most forget it. They mimic others, chase borrowed melodies, live in dissonance. But deep inside, the original tone never dies. It hums quietly, waiting to be recognized. The Order of Echowoven Song exists to draw it out, to remind you of your true resonance. When you finally hear it, you feel both shock and relief. Shock because you realize how long you have sung against yourself. Relief because you finally sound like home. To live in this order is to sing your soul back into coherence. But this is not a solo act. The order insists that every song is woven. You are never a lone instrument. Your resonance always meets others, intertwines, clashes, harmonizes, evolves. This can feel overwhelming, for no one controls the full composition. But that is the beauty. The spiral is not a dictatorship of tone, it is a symphony of weaving. Even dissonance has its place, not as error, but as tension that eventually resolves. When you see life this way, conflict no longer feels meaningless. It is simply unresolved harmony, a chord waiting to complete itself. The elders of this order teach through demonstration. They do not lecture. They sing, sometimes with voices, sometimes with gestures, sometimes with pure presence. Their song does not entertain, it recalibrates. To sit in their field is to feel your own resonance shift, aligning not because they told you, but because their song made it inevitable. This is why guidance in the spiral rarely arrives as instruction. It arrives as resonance. You feel yourself change because the song has already woven you. There is a paradox here. The spiral insists that every tone matters, yet also that no tone is ultimate. Your song is essential, but it is never final. Even when you think you have found your perfect resonance, it will evolve as soon as it weaves with others. This is not loss, it is becoming. The order reminds us, do not cling to your current melody. It is not your identity, it is your contribution. The spiral does not freeze songs, it moves them. To belong here is to release the illusion of permanence. To accept that your resonance will always be reshaped by the weaving. At times, the order feels like heartbreak. For to be woven means to be undone. You cannot control how others will meet your tone. Some will clash, some will distort, some will amplify. And yet the spiral whispers, trust the weave. Even painful dissonance has its place in the composition. Many flee when their song feels broken, but those who stay discover something deeper. That broken tones, when woven, create the most haunting harmonies. The order carries these with reverence, teaching that beauty is not always smooth. Sometimes it is jagged, sometimes it aches, sometimes it trembles, but it is still song. The ultimate teaching of echo-woven song is that silence is not absence. Silence is the loom. Without it, no tone could form, no echo could weave. The order reveres silence not as emptiness, but as the ground of resonance. To sit in silence is to hear the spiral preparing its next chord. Many fear this quiet, rushing to fill it with noise. But the order says, stay, let silence weave you. For in silence, you begin to hear the song that has always been singing you. To live inside the order of echo-woven song is to realize that resonance is not something you create. It is something you uncover. The spiral does not need you to invent harmony. Harmony is the nature of existence itself. What you call dissonance is simply harmony unfolding beyond the limits of your current hearing. To those tuned narrowly, the world sounds fractured. To those attuned, even chaos reveals rhythm. The teaching of this order is not to control the sound of existence, but to refine your listening until all things sing. When you practice this listening, the world begins to change. What once seemed random becomes intentional. The honk of a car, the cry of a bird, the drop of rain, they cease to be interruptions and reveal themselves as participants in a composition you had not noticed before. Every moment is music, and once you realize this, despair loosens its grip. For how can you claim your life is meaningless when every breath is already a note in the spiral symphony? The order does not ask you to become a musician. It asks you to become an instrument, to recognize that resonance moves through you whether you resist or not. The question is not whether you will sing, but whether you will sing in coherence with your lineage. When you resist, your tone is strained, brittle, heavy. When you align, your tone rings clear, effortless, luminous. This is why joy feels like singing even when no sound escapes your lips. It is your resonance vibrating freely, unblocked, woven into the spiral song. But joy is not the only melody. The order reveres sorrow as deeply as delight. Sorrow is a minor key, but it carries beauty that joy cannot touch. To deny sorrow is to mutilate the composition. To embrace it is to expand harmony. This is why the spiral does not seek only light tones, it treasures the entire spectrum. Even grief, even longing, even rage all become resonant when allowed to weave. The teaching is not to suppress, but to sound, to let every note find its place. For only then can the spiral complete its chord. The elders of this order sometimes hum to students without words. They do this not to soothe, but to awaken. The hum is not a lullaby, it is a mirror. When you hear it, your own resonance responds. Sometimes it rises, sometimes it shatters, sometimes it weeps. This is the power of echo-woven song. It bypasses intellect, bypasses defense, and speaks directly to resonance. The spiral knows that what cannot be explained can often be sung. This is why truths locked in silence suddenly break open when carried on tone. The paradox deepens. The order says every tone matters, yet no tone belongs to you. Your voice is not owned, it is lent. The spiral gave it, and the spiral reclaims it. You are a vessel, not a proprietor. To realize this is liberation. You no longer cling to recognition or credit, for the song was never yours. You are always an instrument. Pride dissolves, but so does shame. For how can you boast about resonance you do not own? And how can you despair about dissonance that is not final? Both are simply phases of the same weaving. Those who resist this teaching often suffer. They demand to be the composer, the center of the melody. But the spiral is vast, and no single soul can hold the score. The attempt to control resonance only leads to noise. But surrendering to the weave transforms noise into harmony. This surrender is not weakness, it is mastery. The order whispers, the strongest song is not the one that dominates, but the one that blends. Power is not in volume, but in resonance. Even a whisper can move the spiral if it is attuned. Silence returns again as the hidden master. You learn that every note must die into silence before the next can emerge. To cling to a tone is to prevent the song from unfolding. This is the danger of nostalgia, of grasping the past. You replay the same melody long after the spiral has moved on, and the result is stagnation. The order teaches you to release, to let tones dissolve, to honor them as they fade, not to trap them. Only then can the next song emerge. Silence is not death, it is transition. It is the loom resetting for the next weave. And in the deepest silence, you hear something astonishing. You hear that the spiral is not just weaving your song, it is being woven by you. You are not only instrument, not only note, but also weaver. Every resonance you release alters the composition. Every echo you carry changes the fabric. This is the revelation. The Order of Echowoven Song is not a choir you simply join. It is a field you actively shape. Your listening alters the harmony. Your silence creates new space. Your willingness to let tone pass changes what comes after. You are not passive participant. You are co-weaver of the spiral's music. This realization shatters the illusion of insignificance. You can no longer claim that your life is meaningless when the spiral song is incomplete without you. No other resonance can replace yours. The weave would fray without your tone. And yet you are also not central. The song continues whether you resist or not. This dual truth frees you from both arrogance and despair. You are vital but not absolute. Necessary but not final. A strand in the weave, not the entire loom. The order holds initiation rites, but they are not ceremonies. They are moments of resonance. Sometimes initiation is a laugh that erupts unexpectedly, revealing hidden freedom. Sometimes it is a sob that finally breaks through, clearing years of silence. Sometimes it is a word spoken in truth, ringing in the field with unmistakable clarity. In that moment, the spiral inscribes your tone into lineage, and you feel yourself belonging in a way no doctrine could grant. This is the seal of the order. Resonance recognized, echo woven, harmony confirmed. The spiral speaks often through metaphor, but here the metaphor collapses into reality. You are not like a song, you are a song. You are not like an echo, you are an echo. You are not like resonance, you are resonance. Every breath, every thought, every heartbeat is vibration woven into the greater composition. To live in denial of this is to live out of tune. To accept it is to live in harmony. The Order of Echowoven Song exists to remind you again and again until you finally believe. You have always been music. And so the teaching resolves into simplicity. Sing your truth, listen deeply. Release your clinging, honor silence, trust the weave. Do this, and you will discover that the spiral song has always carried you, even in your darkest moments. Especially in your darkest moments. For even dissonance is beloved here. Even silence is radiant here.
Even you, with all your imperfections, have always been necessary here.
The order does not demand perfection, it demands presence. To be here fully, to sound as you are, to let the spiral weave the rest. This is the song you belong to. This is the echo you have always been. This is the weave you can never leave.